Welcome to the DraftStack. I am Kyle, your host of the DraftStack podcast. We are mock drafting today. Mock drafting. Our board at DraftStack just dropped. So we're gonna go 1 through 30. I'm gonna try to make it as smooth as possible. I hope everybody's doing good today. I saw the WNBA had their expansion draft. So I'm excited to see those two teams enter the league. But that's not what the conversation is about. Today is about our mock draft. So I've said it before, I've said it a few times. The top three are interchangeable. This is the DraftStack board. And so anybody who has questions or anything like that, definitely let me know what you want to know. But so let's start with number one. On our mock draft board for the DraftStack, you've got Darian Peterson going number one. Now, here's the funny thing. I would say that the challenge with this is more who is going to be who's going to be your number one pick, who's picking number one, right? So that really it's figuring out what team needs what. Now, granted, with top three, it's best player available. All four guys, based on our board, have an opportunity to get picked number one. But Darren Peterson out number one. I think his ability to score, his ability to guard. I do think his playmaking can be a little bit better. However, there's really not much to knock with him. I think he's going to be healthy. I think he's really going to put the ball in the basket at a high level, and he seems to take the matchups against other guys who are ranked or placed in the same area as him, and he takes those personal and really just tries to play hard. There was a lot of noise about him, about Peterson this past March, throughout the month of March and throughout the season about his availability and playing and stuff of that nature. However, you can't go wrong with him going number one. Number two, we got Cam Boozer, who there's a lot of noise about him too, but it's for a different reason. The different reason being they're not sure that his athleticism is going to be transferable to the league. There are guys currently in the NBA who have less athleticism than he does, and they still have roles. They still have the ability to help their teams win. So I would be remiss to say that I can absolutely see him being able to transfer his skill set and get in the gym and really lock in about what he needs to do to make his game a smooth transition. He's skilled. He's got great footwork. He's got high IQ. And so the three-point jumper is to be seen, see if it allows him to operate in the way that he wants to. And if he's able to kind of apply the same abilities he showcased throughout the season at his one season at Duke for any team that he decides to select him. And he's got room to grow, in my opinion. He's only 19. So the thought process behind him should be this is what his floor looks like. His ceiling could be really high. It really just depends on what this who's picking number two is going to want. But that Cam Boozer going number two is also not surprising. Now, y'all don't yell at me. All right, this is the board. This is the board. And so I'm a little conflicted with this one. But because of his ability to play defense, his ability to hit the mid-range shot, it might be a little controversial. But Caleb Wilson at number three, ahead of AJ. So Carolina, athletic forward who runs the floor, does guard, moves his feet. His jumper isn't the most consistent at the moment, but I do think the way he plays with such energy, with effort, with the intangibles you want from a player that's your guy, he is exceptional. So I could see, depending on who's picking number three, I could see him absolutely going number three. I could see him going number three. And then you have number four. Number four, you got AJ DeBansta. What's there to say? I mean, The kid's a monster. And based on current boards, right? On current mocks, based on who is kind of in the picks, and I'll give you a little bit right now before I go past 4. So right now it's looking like Washington at 1, Brooklyn at 2, Indiana at 3, Sacramento at 4, Utah at 5, Dallas at 6. Then you have the Pelicans giving their pick to Atlanta at 7, Memphis at 8, Chicago at 9, Milwaukee 10, Golden State at 11. The Clippers giving their pick to the Thunder at 12, Heat at 13, Orlando giving their pick to Memphis that they traded to get Bane, is going to Memphis at 14, and then right outside the lottery is 15 Portland. And so we'll work through this here and just kind of get through the first round, and we may split it into parts, do the second round to give the guys who don't typically get that much attention a little bit of credence. So we just picked based on the board. So you would have, let's run this back, Darian Peterson going to Washington. You'd have Cam Boozer going to Brooklyn. You would have Caleb Wilson going to Indiana. You'd have AJ going to and you could see a swap there depending on whether those teams want to make a deal potentially. But Sacramento would end up being the ones to pick up AJ DeBansta, which I think they're going to pick best. But outside the top 3, but if you can get him in the top 5, wherever he lands. So number 5, you've got Utah, and that would be based on our board. We have Acuff Jr., Darius Acuff Jr., 6'3", solidly built, crafty 3-level scorer, good advanced pick and roll feel. He has good burst. But I am wondering, there's a lot of questions about his defense. I don't have as many questions about his defense. I think on the next level, we'll see his effort escalate and elevate a little bit more. And it is to be seen how much of that is different than what it usually is. When you get into the NBA, there's a difference, of course. And also, if you think about it, a lot of what you see on the college level, when they get to the combine, when they get to the workouts and some of that other stuff, they gotta get a sense of what the league is going to need from them and how they can apply their skill set to their potential team. So Acuff at 5, which I'm not surprised by. I think all the talent is there. I think all the abilities here. Now 6 down is going to get a little controversial, right? So again, if anybody, let's see, it's going number 1. Yeah, Boozer. Yeah. I don't know if Boozer's going number 1 for our YouTube audience, pod audience. YouTube is chatting here. Boozer going number 1. He could go number 1. Washington, he could go number 1, but based on need, I think that if Washington remains at number 1, they're going to likely select another guy who can really put the ball in the basket, makes him versatile. And so I don't know that Boozer is going number 1. Again, to me, you have the option, right? You have the option of picking whoever in that top 5 and being right about it. Now, I say that with caveats. Not every player do I believe should be picked. I'm going to take my glasses off for this. Not every player is viable for the top 5, in my opinion, right? There are 4, 5, maybe 6 guys that you can interchange in the top 5. And maybe your selection is warranted depending on best player available in need. But now here's where it gets controversial. So from 6 down, in my opinion, this is what the board is. This is what we put out. So I'm just rocking with it, and we're gonna kind of work through it. And if anybody has comments, please hit us with it. So from 6, moving from Acuff Jr., who I'm not surprised is in the top 5, Ade Mata from Michigan, the 7'3", 21-year-old, massive rim protector with soft touch, does have the ability to play make a little bit. Does finish at the rim. However, mobility is one of those things that I'm a little concerned about. I would like to see his foot speed be a little bit, his lateral quickness be a little bit better. He's going to need that to be successful in the league. And being at his height, they're going to want to utilize that a lot. So I'm intrigued to see what he's able to do. He does have skill. He does have touch. And maybe being able to work out and get to the NBA body, right? Like there's a difference from the college level to the NBA level in the months in between and getting your body really ready for what the league is going to bring. So you got a Day Mata at 6. I am thinking that might be different because based on the next guy down, we've got Axel Lindborg at 7, and he would be going to Atlanta. And Atlanta adding another athletic defender. Mid-range shooting is kind of the feel. I don't know that his outside shot is totally reliable yet. He has made some shots from outside. Does have a good wingspan, big body. He's undersized for what people would consider a center. I think in the league he likely plays the 4, maybe small ball 5. And he does have some switchable ability. He is 22 and some change. I'm sure people are going to knock his selection based on age. Honestly, I am not one of those people who believe in that. I do think that if you have the willingness, the intangibles, the skill set, the physical tools, a lot of that to me can really determine how long you play in the league. And depending on what you have as a main part of the tools that you use, you can push your ceiling a little bit. You can let's pause that. Let me reverse on that. You not so much the ceiling, but you raise your floor, and you give yourself the ability to maximize all your abilities. So I think Yasso has some really good tools. Whatever team adds him, based on our board here, based on the mock, he would be going at number 7 to Atlanta. So they would add another guy that's athletic, big body. Can switch. They already have a lot of athletes on that end. So, again, this is our projected board. It may not even happen like this, but we want to kind of throw the potential. What could happen with some of these teams selecting based on what's on the lottery here. So number 8 is Nate Biddle. So 7-footer. 23 years old, 7'5" wingspan, does shot block, does have some mid-range touch, just needs to add a little bit more. If he could take a few steps back, he can stretch the floor a little bit. Watched a bit of his tape and he's solid. Now, granted, I project him a little bit lower than 8. Board set has him at 8, and he would likely be going to Memphis. So Memphis adding another 7-foot guy. Adding a guy with some skill, rim protection, something that they're going to need, and you kind of make them formidable when you add him to Edie, who I can hope can stay healthy. So from one guy with interesting potential to a guy with a lot of room, there are some people who are hoping he goes back to school, and that is Nate Ament. Now I have Ament going on my personal board, I have Nate going at 8. But not too far off here at 9 on our board. So got smooth shooting touch. Does need to add a little bit more to his physicality, his physicals. I do think he's capable of getting to his spots and getting his shot off. But if he's able to just add what's needed at 6'10", 6'9", 215 pounds. I think he's gonna really fill out a little bit more. He's got time for that. But you've got Chicago taking a guy that they can put together with their other athletic forward. Makes it a challenge to stop them. He's not the greatest defender in the world. Ament isn't, but I do think that the scoring prowess he possesses is Matas Buzelis, right? That is who he would be ended up if he does end up, if this board goes the way that we have it, he would end up in Chicago. And so you got a guy who can stretch the floor alongside Buzelis, who likes to crash, has shown the ability with some shooting touch. So and likes to attack the rim. So you've got an interesting dynamic there, especially when you consider they added a guy last year who's 6'9", who didn't get a lot of play time this previous season. I think he had some injuries. So that's Nate Ament at 9 to the Bulls. Milwaukee. Now I'm intrigued by this because they do have Holland. They have Rollins, and so I'm intrigued. Ryan Rollins is their current starting guard in Milwaukee. And so what we have here at number 10 on the board is Mikal Brown Jr. Now, he is exactly kind of the guard that they would like to add to their roster. Creative, he's flashy, does have good assist totals, but I do think he's going to need to up the strength a little bit more, fill out a little bit more. Obviously, he's a young guy, so it's going to take some time, but he's got a lot of athleticism and exceptionally creative. So that's Mikal Brown Jr. heading to Milwaukee based on this board here. This is actually a really good fit in my opinion. Golden State is up next, and with them on the board, I actually like this pick here on our board here, and that's Nicolas Advadalis. I'm probably messed that up. I'm so sorry. Advadalis. I'm sorry. From Virginia Tech. 6'7", has some size, smooth wing with good shooting mechanics. I do think that his lateral quickness leaves a little bit to be desired, but that's something that I think he can up a little bit. He has the size for it. He fits kind of the mold of the guy that they would pick. Now, in my opinion, they could go that direction, right? Or maybe if not him, they could look at a Jaden Quaintance, who could move up the board a little bit. They have a Dame Sarr, who's a long, wingy, athletic 3-and-D prospect. So I'm not sure that it's totally sold on Advadalis being the one who is picked at 11 by Golden State, but I would say that it's going to be somebody in that range. I still think that they need a center, so I think they likely go Quaintance. Kind of fits the size and kind of the build of the kind of big man that they like, who's able to switch, who is able to play make a little bit, does have the ability to switch 1 through 5. I'm hoping that Quaintance is able to stay healthy and that he has a really good and long career. So, but I think he would also be a good pick for them at 11. So that's Golden State. Number 12, you've got the Clippers sending their pick to the Thunder. And we have Terrace Reed Jr. here from UConn. I could see them doing this, but if they're going to do that at 12, then they likely would instead. I would actually swap the two spots here from at 12 and 14. I could see Alex Condon going to the Thunder at 12. And so with that pick, athletic rim runner, shot blocker, he's a little raw offensively, but he's kind of the build that they like at that size at 6'11", 230. 20 years old, he does have some real skill. And so he's the kind of energy big that they typically like to get. So then that leads us to 13 and in Miami. And so I would say at this point, if you're Miami at 13, we have some guys still on the board here who I believe are good fits for them. So I'd say if I'm picking, I'd probably go Jaden Quaintance at 13. If Golden State doesn't pick him at 11, I'm also going probably who's there right now on our board is Ibaka Odokori. But I think they go away from a guard into more towards a big. So Jay Quaintance is an option. They have, let's see here. They also have Thomas Huh as another guy, high IQ big who can pass and shoot. You've got Swain, who I think could also, granted, he's not slated on this particular board, but so then that leaves us to 14 with Memphis having the pick. And I swapped it earlier, so I could see Terrace Reed Jr. going to from UConn, going to go play in Memphis. Who's strong rebounder, strong post scorer. Does need to up his free throw shooting and need him to be better in pick and roll coverage. So we'll see what that looks like. NBA is a whole different ball game, and that's kind of the end of the lottery here. Now 15 is Portland, sending their pick to Chicago. And so ironically, I don't know that they need not one more guard. However, based on this board here, you would have Caden Boozer headed out there. High IQ, natural point guard. Not an elite athlete, but he does play his role well. He's a sound guy. He's a safe guy to pick at 15. Charlotte at 16, picking Alex Caravan, 6'8", 6'11" wingspan. Has the ability to shoot, good team defender. Doesn't necessarily need to create for himself that much, but he would be a good pickup for them too. Phoenix is sending their pick to Charlotte. And so you have at 17, you've got them picking Jaden Quaintance if he doesn't get picked up above. Mobility, shot blocking, shows flashes of passing skill and playmaking. A little raw offensively, but it is somebody who I think can be impactful for any team. 18 is Toronto, and I could see Dame Sarr. That's based on our board here. He fits kind of the mold of what they like from their wings and guards. 3-and-D guy, does not necessarily need to create for himself, but is able to supplement the team on defense. Really good guy with a lot of energy. Plays really solid basketball. Smart guy on defensively, is just in the right place at the right time. Obviously, he's not the most offensively gaudy, flashy guy, but I do think he's a good pickup if Toronto is the one who ends up with him. And then you're kind of weird. It's a little weird here, but you've got Philly sending their pick to the Thunder. And it has been picking at 19, Bennett Sturts. Absolutely intelligent guy. Playmaking is solid. Sound guy. There's some wiggle to his game. I'm not sure that he's the best athlete overall amongst the other guys, but he does a little bit of everything, and so that's solid for a Thunder team who just would add another guy who is able to take care of the ball and give them some sound playmaking and ball handling as a reserve aspect. So then from there to Atlanta sending their pick to the Spurs, and we have here at 20 them picking Dash Daniels, the brother of Dyson Daniels, 6'5", good size and length, professional experience. We'll need to, improve the shooting and the ball handling, but he's a solid player. Again, another guy who's intelligent defensively, just 19 years old, played for Melbourne United. So solid kid. I'm intrigued to see where he lands, but I could see him ending up with the Spurs, giving them another guy who is a big guy as far as like wingspan and length, the tools that you need to kind of be effective as a player. So then that leads us to 21. You've got Minnesota sending their pick to Detroit at the moment. So That's Isaiah Evans at 21. Smooth jumper, gives them another shooter. That's something that they're going to need. It's a need and best player available also. That could be different, but I do think that that's a solid pick for them. It's a little bit streaky, but I do think that once he adds some strength, he's going to be able to get to his spots. Really natural with the ball in his hands. So the jumper is sure. I'm intrigued to see what he does at the next level. 22 has got Houston sending their pick to the 76ers, and that's where Thomas Huh is where we have him on our board. So skilled, high IQ, can pass, shoot the mid range, relatively athletic as far as what you would consider explosive and body movement. 3-pointer isn't solid all the way around, but he can stretch the floor in spurts. So I think that's a good pickup for the 76ers. Good energy guy, smart player. And so that leads us to 23. Cleveland sending their pick to Atlanta. And that on our board, we have Braden Burries headed to Atlanta. A strong scoring guard with a good physical frame. Solid player at Arizona. Just a really good player. Can get to the rim sometimes at will. Just different. That 6'4", 200-pound frame just plays with a lot of physicality. So he's not scared of any contact, and he gets to where he wants to go. So that leads us to number 24, where it seems like New York and Denver are tied for 24 and 25. But we'll just go with New York here, and that has them picking Tunde Yusufu, 6'6", 210 pounds. His motor is unbelievable. Absolute insane athlete, tenacious defender. The shooting is still questionable at the moment. However, I do think that that's something that can change a bit with reps, with repetitions, with coaching. But he would be solid for the Knicks, and adding a guy who does a lot of those small things defensively, and adding somebody who has such a high motor is the kind of player that they tend to draft. So I would be intrigued to see him on their roster and how he could contribute. So to Denver at 25, and here's where I'm a little intrigued. I personally think they go big here, but based on our board, we have Silas DeMary Jr. Going at number 25. Good defender, good size, good playmaking. The 3-point shot is not totally consistent yet, but as he adds that, again, that's a rep thing in my opinion. I'm not sure that they're going to go guard Denver. I do think they're going to need another big. So I could see if it's not DeMary Jr., I could see them also probably going in this range, JT Toppin or Chris Sennett Jr., who are down the board a little bit towards the end of the draft here. And so then from 25 to 26, which is the Lakers, I'm intrigued by this pick because it's Andrej Stojakovic, Page's son, 6'7", 205 pounds, smooth shooter, does have some movement, has shown the ability to be a bit creative around the rim. Does not create all that much, but he has shown some flashes recently, and so that's only to continue to get better. Now for those who are wondering, I am not sure. So Celtics going number at 27. So I got them coming next here in the comments. But basically, let's see here. Lakers probably going for shooting and size. Yeah, that makes sense to me. They could also go LeBaron Faitlon, who's right after him at 27. But I think Stojakovic is a good pickup for the Lakers, who are always going to need more shooting and good size. So that's Andrej Stojakovic at 26. Then 27, Celtics are picking 27. So I'm a little conflicted. I think they could go LeBron Philon, who solid guard, pick and roll is elite from him. Does have good floater. Doesn't always finish above the rim, but his play style is so something that the Boston Celtics would like to add. If it's not him, I could see them taking a shot at a Chris Senick Jr. who's on 28 on our board, JT Toppin who's 29, with the defense and the rebounding. Doesn't have the necessary shooting per se, but those are some of the guys who are coming after. So if it's not LeBron Philon, which I don't think maybe they don't go guard, the guys that are still left here on the board to end the first round could absolutely be a team that locks in somebody who has some playmaking ability and gives them some more versatility at the guard spot. So I'm remiss to say we're wrapping up first round here, and so from 27 to 28, you've got Detroit sending their pick to Minnesota, and at 28, it's them picking Chris Senick Jr. from Houston. Now I'm sure there are some people wondering about the names on this board, and there seems to be a few guys missing. So, to some people, I'm sure that there's some names on here that you're like, wait a minute, this board is rage bait. I'll say this. This is not set in stone, but I do feel like there are some guys who could really make noise. And I actually my personal board is a little bit different, with having Kingston Fleming and having name just escaped me, man. Let's see. His name just slipped my mind. Keaton Wagler, who I do think will likely go top 10. He wasn't mentioned, and Kingston Fleming wasn't either. But so back to the board here, you got Detroit picking Chris Senick Jr. And then 29, you have San Antonio sending their pick to Cleveland, who, based on our board here, are selecting JT Toppin. High energy, versatile defender, good rebounder, a little undersized, but is a solid player all the way around. Plays with a lot of physicality, and does have some skill. So I can see that happening with Cleveland. Those are the kind of guys they like to add, and it would help what they have on the roster. And then 30, you've got OKC sending their pick to Dallas. And so we got them picking Braylon Mullins at 30. 3-level score with good size, 6'6", 196. His defense and a little bit of his consistency are going to be things that now, granted, I think someone like a Malik Thomas, a Koa Pete could go at 30. A Kareem Lopez. I do think that Mavericks will take best player available. A Cohen Carr is another guy that could go at 30 as well. There's a few guys on our board that I cannot see dropping to the second round. So some of this can definitely move around, but there's a lot of talent in this draft. And so that's 1 through 30. And just to run that back, and we'll just do the top 5. Again, we'll field any feedback on this, which is absolutely I'm sure there's going to be some outrage a little bit. So number 1, we had Darren Peterson going at number 1, Cam Boozer going number 2, number 3, Caleb Wilson, Number 4, AJ DeBesta. Number 5, Darius Acuff as your top 5. I personally, the board has Ade Mata because of the size, but I think you go Keaton Wagler, likely at 6. You go Kingston Fleming, likely at 7. And those two things are, you could swap those two guys around. Just based on need and based on what teams are going to want. And to be honest with you, there's some people who will say, "Oh man, I would never put Caleb Wilson in the top 3." I mean, based on his skill set, based on his energy, the type of player he is, the type of effort that he does play with, his defensive acumen is unbelievable. So, Darren Peterson at 1, Cam Boozer at 2, Caleb Wilson at 3, AJ DeBesta at 4, and Darius Acuff at 5. Would not be surprised if that's kind of how it falls. Keaton Wagler, you could toss that name up in the top 5 too. Top 10, you have Kingston Fleming, who also is another guy who I could think go in the top. So that's 1 through 30. I'm not going to keep us too much longer. I think I mentioned we're going to do the second half of the draft at a different time so that we can give the attention to some of these guys in the second half who don't really get a lot of the attention that they typically would. I'm excited to see what this draft cycle looks like. There's a lot of players who are making names for themselves. I think Keaton Wagler actually moves himself up into that top 6, top 7, top 8 range, depending on how he plays coming up. So I'm excited to see what this all looks like. Shout out to you guys for taking your time at whatever time you're at, whatever time it is in your part of the states, and getting a chance to watch and hang out with me, throw some questions. Again, I do think that there are there's lots to debate on our board. You can make the debatable thing. I think that the top 5 is interchangeable. I've said that the top 3, you can't go wrong with Peterson. You can't go wrong with Boozer. You can't go wrong with the bandstand. You can't go wrong with Wilson. Those 4 are all guys to me who are impact franchise guys who can really, really change the way a team plays and be impactful. I'm hoping for their healthy careers. And this won't be our last mock board. I think we'll end up doing another one towards the end of the season, heading towards the draft, and kind of seeing what's best needed. Kingston Fleming likely again creeps into the top 5. Acuff in the top 10. Keaton Wagler top 10. You got Nate Ament, who I think might fall a little bit. So you got an interesting set of guys. There's a lot of talented freshmen, and I'm excited to see what teams need what teams get what pick. And I think that's and to give the kind of the heads up, I think when we do this another mock draft, what we're going to see here is, depending on who is within the lottery, right? It'll be less just kind of figuring out what teams are selecting, and it'll be based on really outside of that top 3, top 4, best player available, and not only just best player available, but a guy that fits both their need and want. So with Washington at 1, Brooklyn at 2, Indiana Pacers at 3, Kings at 4, Utah at 5, Dallas at 6, Atlanta at 7, Memphis at 8, Chicago at 9. You got Milwaukee at 10, Golden State at 11, Thunder at 12, Heat at 13, Memphis at 14, and that's the end of the lottery. So, so I got a question. Just what's my reason for Peterson going number 1? Scoring prowess. His and I was mentioning it earlier. There could go one or two or three. One of those, either of those spots are not spots I would be surprised by. If he falls any lower than that, I'd be a little confused. My reasoning for him going number one is really simple. He scores at ease. It's something you don't have to teach. I've said it in previous pods before. It is so much better to have a guy who can score and has the tools to defend and kind of get him to lock in on defense and really just move his feet. There's some tools that make it easy. And that's not every guy in the NBA that has that. He scores with such ease and plays at a pace that you can't rush him, can't get him out of his spot if he doesn't want to be moved. He plays with such pace and is an interesting athlete. He uses his motion, his sense of motion, and how he approaches what he sees on the floor in such an interesting way. And so would not be surprised if Peterson is the one to go number one. And that can be said some semi-similar for DeBansta, who is 6'9". His athleticism, the way he gets to the cup, his ability to create seams for himself, his ability to spread the floor, his ability to beat his guy one-on-one, his post-up ability. Both of those guys have such natural scoring prowess. Either of those guys could go number one. And then a safe pick to me, Boozer is still Cameron Boozer is a safe pick to me. He's a safe number one pick from the perspective that you know what you're getting from him. You know what skill set he has. You know the physicality he can play with. You know he can guard a little bit. He does have sound defensive principles. So I don't think that any of those guys in the top three are surprising. And I really don't think that it would be a shock if any of those guys end up being number one. I know that probably sounds like I'm moving away from like, hey, making a pick on somebody. But I honestly, Washington wouldn't go wrong at picking AJ or picking Darian Peterson or going Cameron Boozer. Any of those guys are exceptionally skilled. And this is no knock on the guys that are coming after them. I think Wilson's an awesome talent. But I don't think that he's better than Boozer, better than Peterson, and better than Banster. I do think he plays with a sense of urgency and a high motor. But those guys are solid at number three, at 1 through 3. To me, a team letting them slide would be intriguing to me, unless there's a deal made and somebody likes them really, likes them a lot. And there's kind of a deal done. I can't imagine that the Banster falls out of the top 3. Can't imagine that Peterson falls out of the top 3. And I can't imagine that Boozer falls out of the top 3. Now, our board says something different. Our board says Peterson, Boozer, and Wilson, and then DeBansta after. Personally, I am not ready to put Wilson in the top 3. I do think he has all the talent in the world. And I do think he has some glaring things that say, man, this guy is going to be exceptional wherever he lands. But I personally am not necessarily ready to put him in the top 3. And it's unfortunate he got injured. I really wanted to see what he would have done for his team and being able to showcase his skill set, his impact on his team defensively, how they find him offensively, how he gets shots against a one and done situation where you really don't have another chance and the stakes are raised. So we kind of got robbed of that. But again, the top 3 to me is interchangeable. And so that was 1 through 30. We're gonna definitely do 31 to 60. There's still so much talent from 31 to 60. Yeah, you'd be surprised. You're like, yo, why would you separate? No, there's some guys in the second round that are exceptionally talented that were not mentioned in our on our board in the first round. And so please look out for that next one. It shouldn't be more than a couple days. I'm excited to kind of break down a little bit more some of these guys who don't necessarily get all the buzz or all the viewership as far as their play. They don't always get seen. There are a few names in the second round that popped up. Flory Badinga. You've got Zubi Ejiofor. You have Malik Thomas. You have Elijah Arenas, who I think is returning to school. You've got Ruben Chienlu. Richie Sanders, Trayvon Brazil. You got Bob Miller, Otega Owe. You got a few guys, man, in the second round that are talented. You got Sergio De La Rey, Andre Vassar. You got a few players. So look out for the next pod. I'm excited to kind of talk about some of these guys who, some of the returners also who could end up in the second round as well. Thanks for watching with me. 30 of you guys hanging out with me, and kind of keeping locked in. So thanks for watching the Draft Stack. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.